Need a ride?
Solitude's been the capital of Skyrim as long as I can remember. Most of the High Kings of Skyrim were Jarls of Solitude first. Oh, let's see, what else? The Bard's College is here, and the main office of the East Empire Company. If you need it, you can get a room for a fair price at the Rinking Skeever, just inside the main gate.
All right, then.
They can't hurt Uncle Rogvir. Tell them he didn't do it.
Positions.
Sorry, you need to go home.
Traitor!
Go home and stay there until you
Betrayed us!
You should tell her that her uncle is scum that betrayed his High King. Best she know now.
Some gate guard you were!
All heart.
Get on with it! Rogvir, you helped Ulfric Stormcloak escape the city after he murdered High King Torrig. By opening that gate for Ulfric, you betrayed the people of Solitude. He doesn't deserve to speak!
There was no murder. Ulfric
Liar.
challenged Torrig. He beat the High King in fair combat. Such is our way. Such is the ancient custom of Skyrim and all Nords.
Boo!
On this day, I go to Sovngarde.
I guess it's all over. I expected... I don't know what I expected.
Go away. Go away. I still can't believe he knew what he was doing when he opened that gate.
That's definitely going in my part of the Edda.
I think I expected more.
A man opens a gate and they cut his head off? Doesn't seem right to me.
Good riddance to bad rubbish, I say.
We should have drawn it out some more. He deserved a slower death.
Rogvir, why did it have to be like this?
Not right now.
It shouldn't have been like this.
I heard the gourmet is hiding out somewhere in Skyrim. You know, fellow who wrote the cookbook.
I prefer to be near enough to come visit, but free to come and go as I please.
Fresh fish! Fresh fish!
That makes 23. You know you can afford a Septimo too?
Fresh fish! Straight from the fjords! Svarg, Jala said you stole an apple from her cart.
Trouble?
There's nothing like a good song to lift the spirit in troubled times. Oh, no. But being surrounded by good music, good drink, and good friends is all I've ever asked for. Only in that I'm a graduate. I work over at the Winking Skeever. I would highly recommend it, though. Talk to Viarmo if you're interested. Generally, if you want rumors, you should talk to Corpulus. That said, I did see a visitor pass through on his way to the Blue Palace. Come.
Ah, yet another new face. I'm from Hammerfell, you see. I can hardly keep track of all the people I've been meeting. Where the dragon attacked? We've heard rumors of death and fire from the skies, but no real news. Then we should soon be selling arrows by the bushel. A sword is no good against a dragon. Aye, but I'll be here in Solitude for longer still. Viata's skill as a Fletcher drew me to this place. I wanted to learn. And there is still much of Skyrim I wish to see. I hear there is a city, Windhelm, that is nearly white with... what do you call it? Oh yeah, snow. And far to the west lies a ruin, Volskag. Inside there's said to be a wall, black as night, and it speaks in the ancient dragon tongue. There are wonders in this place I never dreamed imaginable. Good to talk to a fellow traveler.
Being old's not so bad. Daughter keeps me fed, and my working days are done. Take my advice, never gamble. Damn Ernskar has me in debt up to the eyes. Too many drinking games, too many bets, and I'm too old to ever raise the coin on my own. He's a stubborn oaf. I don't know what good it'll do. You should speak to my daughter, Yvette. She's the brains of the family.
You were there for Rogvir's execution. Perhaps, but necessary. My cousin Fura is somewhere out there in Skyrim right now, fighting Ulfric Stormcloak and his damned insurrectionists. She wouldn't have to be there at all if it weren't for Rogvir. And my aunt wouldn't have to worry about her daughter. You really don't know? He lets Ulfric Stormcloak escape Solitude. Ulfric rides in, murders the High King, and Rogvir lets him ride right back out. Most people head over to the Winking Skeever. If you're not interested in music or drink, you can at least talk to Corpulus. He can fill you in on any of the latest gossip. People to see and places to go, huh? Later, then.
I'm not interested, Jari. It doesn't matter how many times you ask.
You might want to rethink that. You're missing out on some wonderful opportunities working in that bar. You're passing through Solitude? Maybe you're looking to make some easy gold, yes? It's easy to find things to sell. Things nobody will miss. Things from underground, or just left lying around in someone's house. I bet the two of us were very alike. So why not take the next step? We can help each other. My sister Dija and I are treasure hunters. We like to collect things. I knew you looked like a clever one. With the war, many more ships come through these docks, loaded with weapons and pay, but few people, and they pass through dangerous waters. We have an interest in one of those boats, the Ice Runner. The Solitude Lighthouse will be guiding it in, but if its fire were to go out, the Ice Runner would run aground. What an interesting idea. I think if someone were to do something like that, there would definitely be a certain amount of loot to be shared. Yes, if someone were to put out the lighthouse fire and then meet me on the docks afterwards, I could certainly direct them to that loot. Don't worry about them. We'll make sure they wash up safe. Maybe they'll even pay us for their heroic rescue from their sad crash. It would be best if we spoke little until you've completed your task.
Come on in. We got warm food, warm drinks, and warm beds.
I have no business with you. Leave me.
Seems there's always more to be done. Jarl Elisif the Fair. Poor woman. Losing her husband and king like that. It was a dark day for us all. Damn! That reminds me. I have a delivery to make to her steward, Falk Firebeard. He ordered a special bottle of Strass Mackay rum. Saved me a lot of trouble. Here. Take it to the Blue Palace. You could say that. I own the place. Well, okay. My father owns the Winking Skeever, but it's the family business, so it'll be mine when he kicks off. I showed up to watch, yeah. I don't know if they were right to execute him for what he did, but I'll tell you something. It couldn't have happened to a nicer guy. Listen, Rogvir and I grew up together. It was us, a few others, and Vivienne. Vivienne Onus. I have no idea why, but one day I told Rogvir I liked her. It was a stupid thing to do. He mocked me incessantly after that. From that point forward, every time Vivienne and I were anywhere close to each other, he made sure to humiliate me. He beat me up, dumped meat on my head, anything he could get away with. Once he even slipped a beehive into my bed. We were children, sure, but Rogvir never outgrew that immaturity or his cruelty. So any talk about him being an honorable Nord? Pure folly. I was done talking anyway.
If you need a good rumor, I think I can oblige. Welcome to the Winking Skeever, friend. Magic. You're on the wrong side of Skyrim. You want Winterhold. That college there, they teach it. Otherwise, you can try the Jarl's Wizard. I wouldn't, though. Well, as it turns out, I had a pet skeever when I was a boy, and he used to wink. I thought so. Varnius Junius stopped by here on his way to court. He was worried about something. I'm sure Falk Firebeard could tell you what. People say there's a man wandering the streets near the Blue Palace. He seems distressed, but he's not making any sense. I think the Bard's College might be looking for recruits. You should speak to the head of the college, Viarmo, if you're interested. Let's sate that appetite, Sure thing. It's yours for a day. I'll show you to your room. Right this way.
Fletching suits me. It's difficult and sometimes tedious, but a well-made arrow strikes forth like the fury of a god.
a favorite of mine. A legend we all know and love. Our hero claims a warrior's heart. I tell you, the dragonborn comes.
Let me know if there's anything else you
With a
need.
voice-wielding power of the ancient Nord art. Believe, the dragonborn comes. It's a...
Spare some gold? Oh, thank you. Divines bless your kind heart. What? You see a man fallen on hard times, and you think he's been like that forever? I was there. I fought in the Great War. I was on the field at Anvil. And when I was struck down, they left me. You understand? They left me for dead. I didn't leave them. It's best you leave me be. Divines bless you. May the ground you walk quake as you pass.
As High Priest of the Eight Divines, I bid you welcome.
Are you here to talk about my brother? Do you think his execution was justified? Rogvir. He opened a gate and they executed him for it. He opened a gate and the wrong man rode out of it. If that man hadn't been Ulfric's Stormcloak, if Ulfric hadn't killed High King Torrig, but it was Ulfric, and he did kill the High King in honorable combat. My brother refused to allow the Imperials to take revenge for the deed. So now he's dead. Then like Rogvir, you have a Nord's heart. It's hard for many of the people here to understand. I think Aldous understands. I don't think I could have stayed here if anyone else had... I think I need to be done talking for the moment.
Blessings be with you.
Take a good look around. I'm sure you'll find what you're looking for. If not, let me know. I might have it stored away. You're a traveler, correct? Have you been to Whiterun? Wonderful. I hadn't really hoped to run into someone who'd been there. My daughter Fura was assigned to Whiterun after she joined the Imperial Army. I was hoping you might have met her. I haven't heard from her lately. I've tried talking to Captain Aldous, but he hasn't been any help. Oh, that's very sweet of you. Anything you can find out from Captain Aldous would be welcome news. We mostly carry herbs and alchemical ingredients, that sort of thing. Before the war, our stock was mostly used for aromatic use in homes. Yes. These days, we have more people like you coming in, looking for healing and the like. Ah, so you're an alchemist then? Don't forget me next time you need herbs and potions.
Biren said you got here just before the execution. Must have been a lovely first sight. Baron's my husband. He works the forge up at Castle Dower. I barely see him nowadays, what with him filling orders for the army. No, that was an ugly affair. High King Torig's death has turned the whole town on its head. Between you and me, he wasn't even that good a king. All of those rambling speeches about the Empire this and the Empire that. Trinkets, odds and ends, that sort of thing. Come back to bits and pieces anytime. You know, you've got a certain fire in your eyes. Just like my Beerend. Please, feel free to look around. We've got a bit of everything.
Actually, just a bottle for me today. I'm thinking of giving it to Vivian.
Sure, Sorex. Just like you did the last one.
The last one was a warm-up.
Lady Atia says my voice is second only to hers, but she's selling me short.
You wouldn't have a few minutes to run down to the docks, would you? Well, I've got a shipment of spices the East Empire Company is holding up. I need someone to convince them to release it. Great. Get back to me when you're done and I'll give you something for your time. Oh, yes. A secret family recipe. The only good thing my father Octave ever did. In fact, it's so good, no one else in Skyrim even tries to make any. They're adequate. Honestly, I rely on the business brought in by the burning of King Olaf, and that's not likely to happen this year. Well, it's a great big festival put on by the bards every year. They burn an effigy of old King Olaf. It's quite a bit of fun. The bards give out spiced wine during the festival, so they put it in a big order. And then, for weeks after, demand is so high, I can barely keep up. But with the death of High King Torig, the festival has been declared in poor taste. So it looks like it won't happen this year. Just what you see here. Good luck out there. Seems like a tough time to be wandering
Few
Skyrim.
can resist my charms. Even fewer are worthy of them.
You look like you could do with a ripe apple. Or a tomato. Cabbage. Or leek. I have my ways, but it's not easy these days. The Black Blood Marauders have been plundering ships off the coast. A lot of people been hurt by their foolishness. That I do. I had a messenger from Dragon Bridge stop here on his way to the Blue Palace not too long ago. He was very nervous. Mentioned something about needing help. Take a look. Come back when you figure out how to spend money.
Plenty of fresh fish for you. Sorry, yes. It's been hard on her. The girl misses her uncle. I've tried to explain that Rogvir did something bad, and that we all have to be accountable for our actions. But the child feels what she will. Down at the docks. There are a few good spots if you can avoid the East Empire Company workers and those red wave thugs.
Keep the cold at bay with our
Just what you see here. These are troubled times. Be on your guard out there. Fresh fish, straight from the fjords.
I'm a little busy at the moment. I've got all sorts of errands to run.
Youngest bard at the Bard's College, at your service.
Welcome to the Bard's College. I'm the headmaster here. How may I help you? Always a pleasure to meet a prospective bard. You should be aware that many apply, but we accept very few people. When possible, we ask applicants to perform tasks the college needs completed. In this case, I do have a task befitting an aspiring bard. Elisif has forbidden the burning of King Olaf, a festival put on by the Bard's College. We need to change her mind. To convince her, I want to read King Olaf's verse, a part of the Poetic Edda, the living history of Skyrim. Unfortunately, the verse was lost long ago. Yes, according to Giraud, our history's keeper, the portion of the Edda dealing with King Olaf might still exist in Dead Man's Respite. I need you to retrieve the poem. Not much, to be honest. Their return was a shock to us all. Gerard Germain has some tomes about them in the library, if you're interested. Not much, but as a bard, I find the whole affair depressing. There are no heroes in this war, no winners to be had, and no real conclusion. If you want something a bard can dig into, look to the dragons. 1,000 years from now, Skyrim will have changed rulers dozens of times, but the return of the dragons, that story is once in an era. I think Giraud here would give you the best explanation of both it and the history of King Olaf's verse. You should speak to him about it. As you may be aware, Elisif's husband, High King Torig, was recently killed. Elisif mourns her husband deeply, and she feels that a festival that burns a king in effigy is distasteful. I tried to convince her the festival is many centuries old and celebrates solitude, but I need proof. I believe King Olaf's verse will provide that proof. I wish you luck in finding the verse.
You there. Have you performed your voice exercises today?
Yes, madam. I know I have a lot to work on.
Yes, well, see that you keep at it. That is all.
Good to meet a prospective bard. Ah, yes. Adonato's new work. Shorter than I expected, but words must be judged on merit, not length. I'll look over this later. Why don't you take this for your trouble? He's sending you after King Olaf's verse, then. That's good. We shouldn't leave it lying around now that I figured out where it is. The verse was Svafnir's contribution to the Poetic Edda, the living history of Skyrim. Each bard adds to the Edda in his or her time. And a very ancient one. The verse criticized the reigning King Olaf. He was so incensed the bard was put to death and all the copies burned. At least, that's what we thought until I translated some ancient texts a year or so ago. We now believe King Olaf buried the truth with the bard. If I'm right, Svafnir and King Olaf's verse lie in Dead Men's Respite, along with the burial chamber of King Olaf himself. Be careful. You might find more than just King Olaf's verse in Dead Man's Respite.
You there. You performed your voice exercises today.
Yes, madam. I know I... a lot to work on.
Yes, well, see that you keep at it. That is all.
bolster the morale of people in this difficult time. I think we shall have a grand parade, and let General Tullius march his troops from the Blue Palace to Castle Dower in all their finery.
I swear to you, unnatural magics are coming from that cave. There are strange noises and lights. We need someone to investigate.
Then we will immediately send out a legion to scour the cave and secure the town. Hafingar's people will always be safe under my rule. Your Eminence, my scrying has suggested nothing in the area. Dragonbridge is under Imperial control. This is likely superstitious nonsense.
Perhaps a more tempered reaction might be called for?
Oh, yes, of course, you were right. Falk, tell Captain Aldous I said to assign a few extra soldiers to Dragonbridge.
Thank you, Jarl Elisif. But about the cave?
I will have someone take care of the cave as well, Varnius. You can rest easy. You're dismissed.
I've got what I came for. I better get back to Dragonbridge. I've done my part. Dragonbridge will have extra guards. Falk Firebeard will find a way to take care of the cave.
Steward, when is my appointment
I'd better
to
get
meet with
going.
General Tullius? There are some issues we must speak about.
I'm afraid he's had to reschedule, my grace. By all accounts, waging war takes his every moment.
Again? He can't simply cancel an appointment with the Jarl. He's in my capital city.
I'm afraid he can. His authority comes from the Emperor, who you also serve, technically.
He uses all of Hafingar's resources and doesn't answer to me in the slightest? This hardly seems fair.
Fair is a word rarely applied to politics, my grace. I'm afraid you must learn to accept this. Do you have business with the court? Oh, right, the rum. Thank you. I developed a taste for it after a fair-weather trip to Hammerfell. Here, this is for you. Of course he does. What sort of a question is that? Maybe you've been listening to Erikur. There's been loose talk among some of the Thanes, and I suspect he's the cause of it. You'll pay those rumors no heed if you wish to retain your welcome in this city. She may be young, but Elisif is the Jarl by right. And here in Skyrim, if nothing else, we respect the traditions of our fathers' fathers. You do well to remember that. That remains to be seen. By rights, she has a legitimate claim as High Queen of Skyrim. But we must have the support of the other Jarls for that claim to have any meaning. Should they accept her rule, we will have peace. You mean the Dragonbridge issue? I'll be honest with you. I was planning to let that go. Varnius is a bit jumpy at the best of times. There have been reports of weird happenings near Wolfskull Cave. Travelers disappearing, odd lights. I suspect wild animals, or perhaps bandits. I don't think it's worth our time with the war going on. But if you want to clear out the cave, I'll make sure you're repaid for your work. The cave has a bad history. Long ago, Potema the Wolf Queen used it for necromantic rituals. That's where it got the name. That was over 500 years ago. Nothing much down there now. But everyone's always convinced the cave is haunted. Feel free to return to me with questions. The Blue Palace is an open forum.
If I needed something from you, you would know it. Nothing. I'm busy, and I don't like being bothered unless I'm expecting something from you. Oh, don't give me that look. Fine, I suppose I can find some menial task to set your mind on. We have something of a vampire problem. Bodies have been found with blood drained. I know of a den nearby you can wipe out as a precaution. I don't expect you to be capable of even that. I had you figured for a mage. I think you'll appreciate this. I was a member of the court during the reign of Torig's father. It was Torig who appointed me to the position. I like to think I've aged well. I'm certainly wiser than I once was, and I know when one should speak, and when one should hold their tongue. I was a member of the court during the reign of Torig. Very. I helped raise him. Oh, I could not have been more proud to see Torig on the throne. He made a fine king, a fine king. I was, to my shame. The whole court was in attendance. I've seen much in my time, but that was a gruesome day. Ulfric showed up at the gates of Solitude, requesting an audience. We thought he was here to ask Torig to declare independence. By the time we realized Ulfric was here to challenge Torig, it was already too late. By Nord custom, once the challenge was issued in court, Torig had no choice but to accept. Had he not, Ulfric would have had cause to call a new moot and a new vote for High King. Torig had some martial training, of course, but it mattered little that day. When Ulfric's lips parted, when he unleashed the power of the Thu'um, that shout, that ancient and terrible tongue, ripped Torig asunder. I was, to my shame, because Ulfric needed a symbol. Someone he could defeat that represented the Empire. The white gold concordat, the banning of Talos worship. Torig's father Islot had held Skyrim together for nearly 25 years. When he died, Torig became that symbol. No, even after Islot died, the moot voted to make Torig High King of Skyrim. But Ulfric was at that moot, continually talking about Skyrim's independence in terms just shy of treason. I don't think Ulfric knew how much Torig respected him for that. If Ulfric had asked Torig directly to stand up, to declare independence, Torig might have done it. Because the Dominion is a sleeping beast that Skyrim cannot slay alone. Because many Nords are part of the Imperial Army even now. Because the food and resources we get from the Empire are important to our people. Because even if we can't openly worship him, Talos the god was once Tiber Septim the man, and this is his empire. And Torig wasn't ready to let it fall apart. I have no time or patience for a student. Perhaps the College of Winterhold will grant you admission. Vampires are clever hunters. More clever than you, definitely. Be quick. I have little patience for mundane concerns. So, you wish to master the arcane arts? Take care of yourself, and always remember, the world is ripe with people. Looking to spill your blood.
Come on in. Just stoke the fire. Take a seat and get the cold out.
Spare some gold for a... Oh, thank you. Divines bless your kind heart. It's best you leave me be.
Feel free to make requests. You should think about staying the night. This is an ode to Skyrim's staunch protectors, the Imperials.
You and me, we're the only people around who aren't complete fools.
We drink to our youth, to the days come and gone, for the age of aggression is just about done. We'll drive out the storm. Cloaks and restore what we own. With our blood and our steel, we will take back our home. Down with Ulfric, the killer of kings. On the day of your death, we will drink and we'll sing. We're the children of Skyrim, and we fight all our lives. And when Sovngarde beckons, every one of us dies. But this land is ours, and we'll see it wiped clean of the scourge that